Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to SeahawkTalk here on the Salve Athletics Network, coming to you live on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. Through Twitter. We are live every single day, 3 to 4 p.m. here on those channels. We've got a great show for you lined up here today. Rob McGinnis, joined by Lauren Foster, Olivia Hussey, Ashley LaFave, Jane Walsh, and rounding out the day and sending us into Thanksgiving, Craig O'Rourke II coming up today. We will get to them and our producers, but first, like always, we want to remind you to keep your distance. That is Ed Habershaw with his rendition of Keep Your Distance from the Shake, Rhode Island-based band with a worldwide message. Social distancing, hand washing, mask wearing. We're going to continue to remind all of our listeners and viewers to do all of those simple and easy things so we can help combat the coronavirus. Want to bring in now our producers, Joey Morelli and Mike DeFusco, to lead off today's show. Fellas, how are we doing?
Doing good, Andrew.
Cold.
Joe, you're really always cold. You're
it's
always
really cold in this room.
I'm just going to say, that
these
again, that's what...
behind me, that's the whole wall.
It's what you get for going to Connecticut.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's what you get.
It is.
Just stay in Rhode Island.
Fellas, what do we have here to lead off today's program?
To kind of follow on just that opening note of keeping your distance, I was reading a story from WPRI today, and Rhode Island's hospital is or their COVID capacity is almost full. So just following that message, keep your distance and make sure we're enjoying Thanksgiving tomorrow in a safe manner, so we don't have to roll back any more restrictions. So
yeah, I saw that too, and I saw the thing about the governor's conference as well, and I'm like, this is too depressing. I don't know, I'm gonna bring this up. It basically amounts to, hey, knock it off again.
I do have a fun guessing game too. If you guys would rather go with that, it's guess that mansion. Yeah, if you guys want me to pull that picture in, yeah, maybe a little bit more fun to start off. Here we go. So this is a bit of a crude resemblance, but it's designed after a mansion in Newport.
Why does it look like it was made in the video game Spore?
That's why I said crude representation.
It's so good.
So, but
it's pretty accurate.
But these are supposed to be they're Newport mansions, right? That we're guessing.
Yeah, the Newport mansion near campus. I'll give you guys take a couple guesses and then I'll give you like a hint or two.
But I cannot think of which.
Is that the Elms?
Yeah.
It starts. The first part of the word's kind of flower.
Is it Rosecliff?
Yes, Joey. It is supposed to be. Yes. Yes. Sorry. Here, we will.
You might give this mansion on Valentine's Day.
And then here's the actual Rosecliff. You can see there's some differences, but pretty accurate for making it on whatever platform that was, Joe. Whatever game you said, Joey.
That's probably not. It's probably like AutoCAD or like something real.
But not too bad of a representation, I think. So
can we get the internet? Can we ask the internet to somebody to create us all the Newport mansions in Minecraft? That could be something.
Yes, I'll do. I think me and my friends.
Joey has to say you'll either do that or you'll get somebody on Reddit to do that for us.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was. Oh no, I think we were gonna rebuild the casino theater, and then we decided it was too hard. Oh geez, that reminded me. It was something I was gonna mention about the mansions that I saw. But...
Mike, was that it? Was that just the one? Or are there more?
Sorry, that was the only one. That was just because someone had made that on Twitter. I thought it was pretty cool, so I figured I'd share it out. But if I can, maybe I'll bring up a few more for the end. I'll try to find some more, and we'll do a guess.
Maybe by the end we're gonna have our own version of this, and it's gonna be like, okay, I've got a crude representation. Guess that mansion.
I'm just gonna draw it up. Maybe I'll have my friends. If anyone knows Jeremy Lukasiewicz, he's a good artist. Maybe I'll have him draw up us a couple of sketches.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember now. I had actually just seen something about the mansions, but I can't remember what it is.
Well, while you're looking
Was
at
it
that,
the
Joey,
holiday decorations, maybe?
Nah, I don't know, but I'll bring up my thing though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I was trying to find like fun news. So apparently it's not just, if we remember, the other was it yesterday? I don't know what day it was at this point. But with I forgot his first name, but Diaz, who got the Eternal Service
John
Award.
Diaz.
John Diaz. Apparently the Newport Community Service people are doing there's a bunch of awards, and so one of the community service awards is going to this woman, Carmela Gear, who has basically just been since when she was 10, there was a fire at her house and all these strangers were helping her, and she saw that and was what's the word, motivated to do the same thing. So she's just been volunteering everywhere and helping tons of people in Newport. And where is it? There's a really funny quote in here. Oh, somebody asked her, they go, "Do you sleep?" Because she just because she does so much, she's like, "Do I sleep? Yes. Do I sleep a lot? No." And it's good. It's another good story to read. Another really good person, very wholesome story. Remind us that there are people who are not wearing masks and ruining Thanksgiving for everyone else, but then there are people like her who are still great. Not everyone sucks. It's just you think everyone does, and then because you see them more. But the people who are nice, that's the thing. The people who are nice, they don't brag about being nice, so you don't think about it.
It's the same thing we were talking about. I was talking with Jody on Monday about people doing the food drives, and Narragansett, we collected 7,000 pounds of food, and I know from going door to door, some of these houses, people were putting out tons. The one house, she was like, "Oh, they saw us collecting food, and they were like, "Oh, make sure you go to ours. It's up we put it out on the back porch." Like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "You might need a couple people," and I was like, I think I can handle it." No, she put out 8 boxes of food. I was like, this is unbelievable. So, yeah, you're right, Joe. I mean, and we said it then. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up in all the negative, but there are in that when the negative happens, there's usually people working hard to do positive things.
Exactly.
And so, anytime we can find those, we wanna highlight them as well. I wanted to bring up something kind of sports related. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention. Are either of you New England Revolution fans?
I don't even know what that is.
No, that might be the only. Sorry, don't follow MLS. Were they playing the other day? I thought I might have seen an MLS game on.
So they started their playoffs last night. So they actually do playoffs. We've spoken, and we'll speak later with Craig O'Rourke II about the differences between European soccer and American soccer's and American sports in general. As we have our regular season, and then we have our playoffs, and then we crown a champion. Well, in the English Premier League, your regular season, that's it. Whoever finishes the top in the top spot, congratulations, you're the champion.
That's so wild.
The bottom 3 teams get booted out to a lower league. The top 3 teams of that lower league get promoted up. And hey, the top 4 teams in your league, so EPL, English Premier League, you get to go play in the the Champions League in the big European Cup format. Doesn't happen in American soccer. We just do it the way Americans do it. We play our playoffs. Revolution facing Philadelphia last night. Big underdogs. Everybody expected them to get absolutely swamped and destroyed, and they won 2-0. So it's on par with the biggest playoff victory of the year for a Boston sports team. Maybe Celtics Game 7 over Toronto.
I was going to ask where are they from in Boston.
Is there. But big moment, and wouldn't it kind of be the most 2020 thing ever if the team that wins a championship this year is New England soccer team, and it's baseball, hockey, basketball, and football teams don't.
Yeah, that would be nice. We've had a pretty disappointing year. It's it's been the worst, one of the worst years in a while. Yeah,
it seems fitting. It seems fitting.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be fun.
So
I'll take it. I'll take it.
If you didn't know now, you should start paying attention to the New England Revolution. Something special could be going on with them. So
I'll bandwagon them.
Bandwagon. Hey,
Yeah.
soccer fans in the United States will take bandwagon fans. They welcome. Please,
Yeah,
please.
we'll take any fans.
Yeah. So, fellas, great stuff. We will chat with you again at the end of the program, and we're gonna get along to our first guest now.
All right.
All right, that's Joey Morelli and Mike DeFusco, the producers here on Seahawk Talk. We're going to go now to our first guest of the day, Rob McGinnis, the head coach of our men's and women's cross country team. Rob, how are we doing?
All right, Andrew, how are you?
Good. I wanted to, so kind of like similarly to how we let off with the producers, we'll start with the bad news and we'll work our way towards the fun news.
All right.
And so we'll start with Connecticut. That's where you live.
Yep.
And we've talked about there was a couple of races that are people holding out for these, end of year kind of races and stuff. Well, at least not in Connecticut. Their governor has basically put the kibosh on any sort of competitions like that. So I guess I'll let you kind of run through their announcement and what that means for the future of road races in Connecticut right now.
Well, I think it was one of the Economic Development Commissions. They modified their pandemic rules last night to bar road racing, any kind of organized road racing, at least for the foreseeable future. And that puts a little bit of a damper on some of the Thanksgiving Day races that were still planning to go ahead. There were a few holdouts. Most of the big ones, like the Manchester Road Race and some of the larger scale events, had already opted to go virtual for 2020, but there were still a few that were holding out hope that they might be able to run things in an appropriately socially distant way. And the ruling last night puts an end to that. So anyone who was hoping to run a Thanksgiving Day race, well, stay home, run it in your neighborhood, and be safe. I think it's for the best. It's better not to encourage any kind of gatherings right now, even though I know the race directors who were planning to host events all had everyone's best interests in mind, and we're trying to do things in a safe and compliant way. Really, the best way to keep people safe is to discourage this kind of stuff for the foreseeable future. So no road races on Thanksgiving, and not until we see any kind of a modification to that statement. So it's the first time in a while that we've seen a specific prohibition on road racing. Kind of unprecedented.
Yeah. Were you planning on doing any creating a calorie deficit tomorrow by joining in any sort of races?
I will go for a run. I'll probably do 6 or 7 miles just as a regular daily run. I wasn't planning to race. The question I often get being from Connecticut is, do you run the Manchester Road Race? And I have never run the Manchester Road Race. Part of it is the size of the crowd. It's 15,000 people. And one of my big pet peeves is not being able to find a place to park. When you take a crowd that large, I have raced on Thanksgiving. My favorite race is actually a little one that I'm not even sure that it's running anymore, but it's out in Franklin, Connecticut, and it's out by Norwich. And the name of the race is Big Gary's Turkey Trot. And I kid you not, I have a t-shirt around here somewhere with that race logo on it. And I ran it a few years ago, and it's an odd distance. It's like 4.5 miles. And I went out and I ran with the lead pack, and the pack started to drift away here and there. And it came down to me and one guy who at that point was a senior at Norwich Free Academy. And he had just committed to run at Central Connecticut State University. And he knew the course and I didn't. And there were some turns that just weren't marked. And we came to one intersection where it was a 4-way intersection. I had no idea where to go. We were in the middle of the road and he tells me, oh, it's a left. And at that point I thought, okay, well, this guy is at least being sportsmanlike. So when it came down to the finishing kick and it was just the two of us, I let him have it. We went right down to the line and we had the closest finish in the history of that race as everybody got all riled up at the finish line. But then they finish, and the tradition there is that the winner writes his name or her name on a big like a stew pot, like a big metal cauldron, and they keep this thing, and it's what they pass on as the trophy from year to year. And then instead of like post race bagels and bananas, they were deep frying turkeys. So Big Gary's Turkey Trot, if you're ever in Franklin, Connecticut on Thanksgiving and we're not in the middle of a pandemic. Oh, and the entry fee was a couple of canned goods for one of the local food kitchens, which I thought was a really neat way to encourage some donations, and it made sense. So pretty neat. There it is. Yes, that's Big Gary's Turkey Trot.
Awesome.
Right. And there's the pot that I was talking about. That's the winner signs his name on that upon completion of the race. So
I think they even got, there's, they're ready to fry up some turkeys.
Right. So definitely a unique Thanksgiving Day race. As you can see, it's a smaller crowd. It's not a,
I just love this. I love.
Yes. So that's the last time I ran on Thanksgiving morning. I think if I were to pick it up again, I would go and run that one if it happens, but I don't know that it happens every year. But
Big Gary's Turkey Trot. Love
but not
it.
this year, ladies and gentlemen, because there are no road races in Connecticut on Thanksgiving or until we hear otherwise.
So somebody who just was able to squeeze in a road race and do it so in record fashion is Kira D'Amato, who just destroyed the U.S. women's 10-mile record, 51 minutes and 23 seconds. That is like you're on fire. Do you have to get special shoes to make sure that the soles don't burn on the? I mean, I was just thinking about the last time I went for a 10-mile run. She would be lapping me in the process. It'd be like passing a bicycle on a car.
Yeah, that is a blazing fast pace. And for those who are less familiar with Kira D'Amato, she works full-time as a real estate agent. So she is the running realtor, but she has some legitimate personal best. She's a 2:34 marathoner. I think her half marathon best is like 1:08 or 1:09. So to see a 51-minute 10-miler is not completely out of line, but a very impressive performance for her. And a 5:08 a mile. That's just blazing fast. Very, very impressive for Kira D'Amato. And she just continues to rack up some great performances on the road. So another great showing.
What's your 10-mile record?
My personal best at 10 miles is 61:20. So she would have beaten me by a good 10 minutes. That was at the Newport 10 mile, like, 4 or 5 years ago. So
she could have sold a house and then still gotten to the finish line before you.
Almost certainly, yes. It would not have been close, but yeah,
Now,
she's impressive.
What's fun about this is the person who was basically kind of helping her keep pace, and setting the tone and ended up coming in second, is also trying to set a record, a much different record. They're trying to be the fastest person ever to run a 10K in a full turkey outfit.
The fastest known turkey attempt. Yes.
This is why I love running. Honestly, the more and more I get it, this is all these, like you said, I could probably find a record, fastest, 5 miles ever attempted by somebody dressed up like a mongoose. And I could just run from here to the beach and set a record until somebody decides that like I was being a buffoon and will come and smash it. But it exists.
So we've got Molly Seidel here. Molly is on the U.S. Women's Olympic team. She's a marathoner, and she qualified earlier this year. Another very impressive runner, had a great collegiate career at Notre Dame, and now will run the marathon for us at Tokyo in 21. But while she waits, fastest known turkey attempt. She's going to suit up. There you see her in her wings and going for a 10K. I think she's actually going to run the course in the turkey suit, and then a couple of days later go back out and run it in regular running attire to see what the difference is from costume to just regular apparel.
If she runs better in the turkey outfit, might we see that at the Olympics?
You never know. I think you'd see an uptick in turkey suit sales if that's the case.
It makes me think of, the Tour de France and other cycling races. There's always people who like run along the sides of the roads, and there's always a guy in like a devil outfit. Are there things like this with running? I mean, have you been at any races where there's people who show up and either they compete and they dress up like this for fun, or people who just jump into a big race and run it? Have you ever witnessed anything like that?
The biggest race that I have seen where people are in costume is definitely the Manchester Road Race. And again, I've not run that one, but I've seen the television coverage. You do get a lot of people wearing festive outfits for that Thanksgiving race. As far as other races, you see fewer people in costume unless they are deliberately attempting something, like it's a fundraising effort or there's some kind of a scheme or an angle at play. But costumes are not the norm at most races I've attended.
Lastly, what will be your plans for tomorrow? Obviously, no road race, but going to go for a run. Everybody's going to try and do the hunker down virtual type of thing. What's Rob McGinnis got on tap? Any special food items for tomorrow?
Well, Jen and I are going to stay home. We're being good and abiding by the orders from the CDC not to gather, much to the disappointment of my folks. They thought we might stop by. We're going to stay put. We're going to make a turkey, and we've got stuffing, and it's just going to be a nice home cooked dinner. So Jen and I'll have some dinner and work on some things around the house, but could be a pretty low key day, but I'm not complaining about having a quiet day.
Awesome. Rob, hope you have a happy, safe Thanksgiving. Thanks again for joining us. Can't wait for next week because I know you're going to have more of these awesome stories. So keep them coming.
Yes, I will do my best. Thanks, Andrew. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Take care now. That's Rob McGinnis, the head coach of our men's and women's cross country team. We're going to go next to 3 members of our field hockey team, Lauren Foster, Olivia Hussey, and Ashley Lefebvre. Ladies, welcome to the show. How are we?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm going to start. I'm going to ask each of you the same question, and we can maybe go in order. We'll let Lauren, then Olivia, then Ashley go. Why did you choose Salve? Simple question.
So I chose Salve mainly because of the academics, to be honest. I'm a studio art major, and that is kind of unique at Salve. It's a smaller program. And when I visited, I just loved the small classrooms. I loved how personal it was. And then obviously with field hockey, like I did a visit with the team and they were also welcoming and I just loved every moment of it. And how can you not choose Newport with the views?
Yeah. Olivia?
So I chose it because of small classrooms and how personable. I'm a marketing major, and when I came for Accepted Students Day, I loved how close connected the business professors were to everyone. And like everyone says, the views, you can't beat it.
Mm-hmm.
I chose Salve for, I guess, a different reason. I'm undecided. So when I went to Accepted Students Day, they're very open about like you can do whatever you want, whatever you major in doesn't mean like that's what your job has to be. They're very open to that, and I felt like going to a small school, they would make sure I didn't get lost and got all my prerequisites and stuff like that in. And then everything else kind of like added on to it, like field hockey. I met with the coach and she was so nice, and the views are just amazing, and the campus is so pretty. So it just all worked out.
Lauren, was there any extra family pressure maybe to come to Salve?
Not really, honestly. It was completely my decision. And I don't know, it was really the academics that like sold me on the school. And then I was like, it's kind of nice to have family around.
Yeah. How have you all adjusted to being collegiate students and athletes during this pandemic time?
It's definitely been a little interesting, but honestly, our teammates have helped us so much. Like they keep us so like they don't try to bring up what we have lost and what we haven't been able to do with the pandemic, but at the same time, they're so informative and they keep us like updated with everything. They keep us, I don't know, like they just keep us in the loop, and I love it so much.
I would have to agree. I think especially being a freshman, it's kind of hard to be able to bond with the team like everyone else has already been able to do. But I think so far with all of our like team activities that we've been doing, keeping COVID in mind and wearing masks, the team has done a really good job of getting to know us and accepting us.
I'd have to agree. I definitely like going into it, and we heard like we're not gonna have a season, we're not gonna practice as much as we thought. We all kind of thought, oh, okay, like this is gonna be weird, but I think the upperclassmen did a great job thinking of activities for us to go do that we could like safely, and it was just really nice because I felt like even though we didn't have maybe the best season like that we wanted to, it was still fun and enjoyable.
You guys mentioned the upperclassmen, your other teammates. Is there anybody or any class in particular that's really helped the most, or maybe for you individually, reached out, helped you guys during this transition, both as becoming college students, joining a team, all the uncertainty? Anybody in particular that's helped you?
I don't know if I can pick one, to be honest. Like every single girl on this team has made an effort to get to know us, and I don't know, it's just been amazing to have that many people like have your back. Like we know anybody on the team will have our back in any situation in life.
I would have to agree. I couldn't pick specifically one person, but I think that the captains definitely have done an amazing job, just because I remember last year as a senior when we found out we were losing our spring season, it was really hard to digest that, and the fact that they have lost their season, but they're still staying positive and staying optimistic about having a spring season. They're doing a really good job.
I honestly couldn't have said anything better. I'd have to agree. It really, like watching people lose their season, it hurts because it's not what anyone expected. And I think they're really still staying positive and still willing to help us, which is amazing.
Do you guys think it being your freshman year when all this is happening, that when things will return to normal, that the rest of your college career is probably going to be, you'll be prepared for anything in essence that gets thrown your way?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, all the upperclassmen have said to us, like, they were a little bit like disappointed. Obviously, we all were without a season, but we did make the most of it. And they were saying to us, like, if you like that, then the regular season that we would have been like so much better.
I think definitely I agree with that. And I think it taught us to expect the worst, but also be able to be flexible to whatever is handed to us.
I think the most thing is like it really like I'm still trying to learn is like always being able to adjust to what's being thrown at you because we saw like our plans had to change like and we had to go home or classes became online because we weren't allowed to stay and just everything's changing all the time and you just have to be ready to kind of like make a decision and be flexible. And I guess that's really what we're learning in the situation.
In our pre-show questionnaire, Olivia, you said that you're a cook. Have you been making team dinners? Are you making Thanksgiving care packages for anybody? What's the deal?
I don't know how much of a cook I am, but I definitely am appreciating having the opportunity to cook now that I'm home rather than having the dining hall food. Yeah, I just make whatever I'm in the mood for. I cook, I bake.
Is there already like a number one Olivia Hussey dish?
I don't know. I can do it all.
Versatile.
Yeah.
Ashley, you mentioned that you have a twin. Is this an identical twin?
No. It's like my brother is my
Okay, so it's
twin,
brother.
so we're not
So you guys
identical.
can't trade
Yeah.
places.
No.
People would notice. What are your plans for Thanksgiving? I know everybody's probably for the most part going home. If you are staying on campus, you're remote, but what are you guys planning to do? And when you guys think about Thanksgiving and the traditions that you normally have, what sticks out to you?
So I'm at home right now, and obviously with the pandemic, I'm not able to see all my cousins and family, but we are doing a Zoom tomorrow to kind of try to still be together during the craziness that this year is. And a tradition that my family has, we like to make pies the night before. So I think my family's actually getting ready to do that right now. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, my family's just staying home. It's kind of upsetting not being able to see all the cousins and everything, but we all live in different states, so it just do not be safe with everything going on.
Yeah, I usually have dinner with just my family, and my grandparents come, but now we're just gonna do it with my family. So it's not much different, but I usually go see my cousins, so that will be a little different. But.
Yeah. Ladies, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on here today. Hope you all have a happy and safe holiday, and hopefully seeing you out there on the field this spring.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Take it easy now. That is Lauren Foster, Olivia Hussey, and Ashley Lefebvre from our field hockey team. We're going to go next to the head coach of our women's soccer team, Jane Walsh. Jane, how are we?
Good. How you doing, Andrew?
Good. Any sort of update or anything you can give on your team? I know you guys have things would have been wrapped up long by now anyways. But how are the planning, time to digest and maybe plan and make some sort of strategy here for the winter and hopefully being out there in the spring?
Yeah, the team I think overall is doing well. The majority of them are at home now for Thanksgiving, and they're just trying to kind of transition to being back at home and learning remotely now, and kind of just moving into a different phase of existence, I guess you could say. So right now we do have a plan set for what we're going to do as far as training is concerned. Right now it's pretty light, but over the next couple of weeks, probably after the holidays, things will start to pick up a little bit more. So really right now the focus is just to get through the semester and have a good, strong, semester academically, and to make sure that everybody's, safe and healthy, and to train when you can. And hopefully after a little bit of time where, things have calmed down here in the country and in New England in particular, we can, with COVID anyways, we can get back to more of a normal training routine.
Yeah. We talk about everything the students have had to go through, freshmen and seniors and the different things. But I don't think many people are at least thinking about how much the coaches have had to go through. As a younger coach, how do you feel you've maybe grown and changed, maybe more so just in the last 7 months than you had in, say, the previous 5, 6 years?
Yeah, I think I've really had to adjust my perspective about my expectations for the team at this point, and for me it's just been more than anything a reminder that they need this team for more than just to win games. They need to be a part of this, for more than the sport of soccer. They're choosing Division III for a reason, right? They want to have a balanced life, and you just see those the intricacies of their personalities, especially when they're going through something so hard as this. So I've really just kind of had to readjust the way that I think and the way that I interact with them and the way that the expectations I'm placing on them now. And so it's just been a time of just adjustment, and I think that's true for everybody. And if you don't adjust and you don't make that happen, and during this time you're gonna get lost. You're not going to be successful at the end of the day. So it's been a whirlwind of a journey, and sometimes a tough lesson, but for the most part it's been good.
Yeah. High school soccer in Rhode Island was able to happen, and I know that impact, and it hasn't happened everywhere. But how has kind of the hodgepodge of who's playing, who's not playing, impacted your ability to recruit, and how is the recruiting going?
Yeah, I mean, it's been all over the place, absolutely all over the place. Last weekend, I was able to attend a recruiting event. It wasn't an actual official tournament, but an event in Massachusetts, which was great to finally be there in person. It was only Massachusetts players, which is still good. Normally, you do get players from all over the place, outside of from different states, but it was great to just get some eyes on people, if just in general, so that's been kind of challenging. High school's been tough to watch, because for most of them, the rules are kind of different. They're not allowed to head the ball. If they do, it becomes an automatic free kick, so it totally changes the game.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it totally changes the game. So now, and it's all about are you good at defending or attacking on set pieces and whatnot. It just doesn't look like the game of soccer. So while it's been helpful to kind of evaluate to a degree, I've really been relying heavily on previous highlight film or just the opportunity to go check out some of these showcases. But that it's been a little bit of a challenge.
In a way, is it harder to maybe be a senior right now in the fall as a high school athlete than maybe it was a senior, say, in the spring, because they're trying, like you said, to put together tape and here's who I am, and I want to get recruited by colleges, and the game is unlike anything that it doesn't look the same. So it might actually be harder to be a senior right now in high school and trying to get scouted than maybe it was last year in the spring.
Yeah, absolutely. At least for, our current freshmen, those who were seniors last spring, they had a little bit of time. They had their entire junior year to collect and develop some film and create some contacts with head coaches and and then a little bit in the fall as well. So missing out on the spring wasn't as bad, I think, for them. I think, coming from their perspective, there's a little bit more of uncertainty. Like, what am I experiencing in the fall? What am I getting myself into? What is this going to be like? Coaches can't even really give me a straight answer on what to expect because they don't know what to expect. So I think their set of challenges were a little bit different from a recruiting perspective and from entering into like a new school. Whereas the current seniors and even the juniors, I just feel for them terribly because they just don't have the same opportunities. They just can't compile the film. They can't attend the showcases. They can't travel out of state. It's a wide range of things, and it changes. It's not like this is the same and it's going to be this way for the next 6 months. There's again a ton of uncertainty with that. So I do feel for them, but the one thing I tell everybody who I have conversations with is that we're all in the same boat here. Nobody's got an advantage over anybody else. And again, as I mentioned previously, if you don't adjust and find out a different way to make it work, you're not going to survive. So So, it's a difficult situation, but I really commend anybody who's in the process right now, and especially those that I've been having conversations with, because they are on top of their game and doing everything that they can.
Speaking of adjustments, I've had to adjust the stations I listen to in my car when I drive, because many of them now have been playing Christmas music. And that started almost even before Halloween. So I wanted to ask you, this is a fun question. When should it be acceptable to start playing Christmas music? I say day after Thanksgiving for a month is fine. Others, I think, want to start in September. Where does Coach Walsh fall on the Christmas music thing?
Absolutely the day after Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's a real holiday too. We have to give it its due diligence before we move on to the next one. And I don't want to get too overwhelmed with everything that's going on, be getting excited for Christmas and Thanksgiving and then COVID and all this other stuff. So 100% after Thanksgiving.
Is it because we lack a big enough volume of, say, Halloween music and there's no Thanksgiving music? There's nothing to kind of, we have like the summer pop thing going on, some country music, and then we just kind of like, there's a wasteland, and then it's just like, well, might as well start playing Christmas music now,
right?
I
think that's what it is. It's just, we don't have anything else to kind of help us celebrate. So we got to start early.
And as you said, Thanksgiving is a holiday. It's tomorrow. How will you be enjoying the day?
I'm going to be spending some time with some local family, which would be really nice, and probably doing some Zoom stuff with anybody who's far away at this point. But it's really small, really low key. I think that's what everybody's doing this year. So I'm looking forward to it. Anytime that I can just kind of chill and relax and take a pause, I am all about that. So you need that time to rest and rejuvenate. So that way you are ready to go when things start to get crazy again. So that's what I'm doing tomorrow.
Awesome. Well, Coach, thank you for taking the time to join us here today on the show. Hope you have a happy and safe Thanksgiving, and we'll catch up with you again next week.
Thank you. You too, Andrew. Have a good one.
All right, take it easy now. That is Coach Jane Walsh, the head coach of our women's soccer team. We're going to go next. And finally this week to the head coach of our men's soccer team, Craig O'Rourke II. Welcome to the show, Craig. How are we?
I'm good, Andrew. How are you?
Do you want to start with the tough questions, or do you want to start with the easy questions?
Oh, Andrew, anything that you ask me is neither tough nor easy. It's just a sheer and utter delight. So fire away, my friend. Fire away.
All right. We'll get this over with then. We had a discussion about Arsenal, as we have the past couple of weeks. They played Leeds this weekend, who you like to call lead. And because you said, what sinks is lead. Well, I'd say the only thing that sinks faster than lead is a cannon. And the Cannon is now in 12th in the table after a 0-0, very lackadaisical draw.
Yeah, we're 12th, though, are we?
Yeah. What is your reaction to that very, very underwhelming result?
If Leeds could finish, it would have been 3-0 Leeds. Yeah, we're in 12th. Yeah, I watched the full 90 minutes. Arsenal was disappointing, to say the least, in terms of possibly all aspects of the match. I texted with some Arsenal supporters during and after game asking who their man of the match was, and I think the consensus was that the goalpost for us deserved man of the match. It was poor. It was really poor.
Outshot, outpossessed.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all the metrics, and it clearly showed that Leeds was the better team. And, we were at Ellen Road, which is a historic stadium. Once upon a time, Lead United was considered to be a big club. Yeah, we weren't good. We gave away so many possessions. I told several of my players that if a Salve team ever played the way Arsenal did on Sunday, they might do their conditioning right there on the field after the match, simply because it was completely contrary to everything that we hold near and dear and try to teach. They just didn't take care of the ball. They were just awful in the way that they gave away possessions, tried to play ill-advised one-touch soccer in midfield third during the build-up. They couldn't clear their lines playing out of the defensive end. It was poor.
It looked like a team who underestimated their opponent, right? That just thought,
I
I can
mean,
just we can just show up.
I your guess is as good as mine. I have a hard time really
It
rationalizing.
defies explaining.
Yeah, I have a hard time rationalizing exactly what Arsenal is doing currently. You know, they came out of the COVID stoppage during the summer months and put together an FA Cup run. Although even then, at times they weren't good, and they were bailed out by their goalkeeping. A goalkeeper who now finds himself on the roster of Aston Villa, and Emi Martinez, the Argentine. So, not that Leno hasn't been bad. I mean, I haven't checked simply because I really wanted to avoid Arsenal.com. But it would stand to reason that Bert Leno was probably named man of the match following the Leeds game. We weren't good. I mean, I'll make no excuses. Arsenal was lucky, very lucky to escape with a 0-0 draw. Pepe was absolutely inexplicably horrific in the decision for the headbutt, which reduced us to 10 men. VAR does not miss anything. Video doesn't lie. I had a Leeds supporter on my roster tell me that they thought the red card was soft, and I said no, I don't think so at all. He used his head in a downward striking manner as a dangerous implement and earned himself the red card. I don't fault the referee in the slightest. I thought the red card had to come out and be given.
I wonder if we'll see any other scuffles in practice this week.
Christ, I mean, Arteta's got to take that team by the scruff of the neck and get a hold of it. Aubameyang is not known for being a very outspoken captain. There are players on the roster I would sell. There are players on the roster I would sit down. There are players on the roster that I would let walk on a free. It's not a great Arsenal side, and I said to a couple of fellow Arsenal supporters, I don't think top four right now, frankly, is within our grasp or even within our shooting distance. I'm hoping for top half of the table, maybe even settling for mid-table obscurity. Arsenal is the longest-serving club in the top flight of English football. Arsenal has not been relegated to the second tier in over 90 years, and that is something that I really don't want to relinquish. We are a top-flight club. We have been in the top flight longer than any other English club, and we deserve to be in the top flight. We are a big club. I don't care what anyone says, but we just aren't playing like it right now. We are a paltry example of ourselves.
You mentioned, the team, you might make them, if a Salve team did that, you'd make them do conditioning right there on the field. Is that something that you've ever done as a coach, have happen to you as a player, and is it even something that's ethical?
I've seen it done. I've seen it done actually at Salve by a visiting side where we beat them on Brother Reynolds Field, and the head coach ran them right after the game. And I looked at that and said, whoa, I mean, after a 90-minute match, anyone who's logged heavy minutes, 80 plus, I mean, there's going to be a great deal of fatigue in their legs. And I don't think no matter how bad my side played or failed to execute what the game plan was that I could ever, as you said, ethically make them do conditioning right there on the field after a match. I might give them a tongue lashing, and we've had as few as no nominations and only a single man of the match award after a game, meaning that we didn't show up and play the way we were supposed to. But no, I've never run a team on field after a game. It's definitely crossed my mind, but
it's the quickest way to lose them, right? Don't you think? Like,
yeah, no one steps foot on the field or executes the game plan or tries to play for 90 minutes in an effort to lose. So, no, I could never see myself honestly running a team into the ground after a loss, home or away. I have seen it done though, and that's just, I think, just a brutal message to deliver.
I saw it happen. It was probably one of the last athletic events I attended. Was a high school hockey playoff game up in Cranston, and after the game, the losing team, who was the higher seed, their season's over, and he made this team. They were like 20 minutes down and back skating goalies too. I was like,
what were the teams?
I don't want to. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus right now.
It wasn't Henriken, was it?
I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus.
Oh, maybe it was Henriken. I was going to say, if Henriken lost, hey,
Hendricken did not lose. I'll tell you
The alumni might be the ones telling him to skate.
I'll give you that much. It was not Hendricken who lost.
There we go. Good.
Okay.
That's music to my ears.
Yeah.
It should never be Hendricken that lost, but
do you follow at all any of the Major League Soccer stuff? I wanted to get your thoughts if you had any on the Revolution's win last night, 2-0 over.
They won? Hey, look at that. The Revs won. Who'd they beat?
Philly.
Philadelphia Union. No, I don't follow Major League Soccer. I'm sorry. I pledge my allegiance to Arsenal and Arsenal only.
All right. Well, now I want to grill you on. You sent me this document, a dossier. Very interesting. Sal Regina men's soccer, O'Rourke's all-time best 11. So these are the players who. Did you couch it all? Is it just even if they were only with you for a year in your first year, you were eligible. Anyone who played for you. So this is your starting 11. Yep. I'll let you go through this whole thing, and I'm sure maybe you'll be able to ration. I'm surprised there's one name missing from here, and maybe it's an omission, maybe it's a mistake, because you break down your reserves as strikers, midfielders, backs, keeper. You really don't kind of break down wings in out of the mids. No Connor Woods? Where's the Connor Woods love? I'm kind of surprised.
Woody was a great player. Several of my alums and current players know of this best 11 that I put together. And this, I don't know if this was a product of COVID. I think this was a product of an off season prior to COVID. I sometimes will just task myself with projects to complete, and anything that allows me to reflect back on my time at Salve and the players that I've coached over the years is something that I'm going to embrace and dive headlong into. And one of the criticisms I've heard from my alums and players is that this best 11 is largely based upon postseason accolades. And you'll see the notes at the bottom and the key for what each of the numbers and symbols and letters mean. It is based largely on all conference, all New England, all American awards. And Connor was not just 3-time, but he's probably the only 4-time academic all conference recipient that I coached, as he carried enough credits into Salve Regina from junior colleges and high school AP and BA that he was then able to, at the conclusion of his fall semester freshman year, be classified as a sophomore. And the fact that he had reached sophomore status after only a semester allowed him to gain academic all-conference recognition, as sophomore status or above, sophomore, junior, senior status was a criteria set forth by the conference office. So Connor was a 4-time academic all-conference recipient, but quite frankly, if you look at the two starting wing players on the width, Sean McAllister, for a career, I believe, is the highest scoring player in school history. He's also the only player under me that was 3-time All New England. And then on the other side, Jordan Elster was the first ever All-American in program history. And to this day, although Casey Kelly has a very good chance of challenging it, is still the most decorated player in program history, having hung not one but 6 major plaques, being 2-time All New England, 2-time Scholar All Region, Scholar All American, and COSIDA Academic All District. So cracking the 11 on the width was incredibly difficult, with McAllister and Elster playing opposite each other. And then reserves, I have the document open myself.
Well, I wanted to ask you if Woodsy were to get in, is he fighting with the backs here or the midfielders? Because you have the wing backs. So I mean, where would he have been as a reserve? Could you argue that there should be a wing category in your reserves?
Well, no, the wings. It's interesting because
it's a matter of formation, right? You know how you build this 11.
It's interesting because there was an article in New England Soccer Journal that I was trying to access from last fall. It was a postseason article following the 2019 season, where they named the 2 best 11s for Division III men's soccer in New England, and I was trying to access it so I could look at it. And they had to disclose that the the two best 11 sides were configured in 4-3-3 formations, because in doing that, you're going to have 4 backs, 3 mids, and 3 strikers. And even with our all conference voting, it's somewhat unfair because we name 3 backs, 3 mids, 3 strikers, and then the next highest vote getter, whoever it may be from any of those 3 categories, or keeper, we also name 1 keeper. But in so doing, you're naming 3 strikers where very few teams truly play with 3 strikers. I mean, even in the current system we execute out, it's a 3-4-1-2, which quite frankly is a hybrid of a 3-5-2, where you have 5 midfielders. Now, in our defensive scheme, we drop into a back 5 and defend with 5 backs, but those wing backs, quite frankly, should probably be treated more as wingers, midfielders, than as strikers or backs. So Connor, in his career for me, played as a center back as well as a wing back, most notably on that 2018 team that went undefeated through 18 matches. I think Connor, in his career, showed that he was most prolific playing off the width, being able to go forward. I don't think anyone would ever characterize Connor as pacey, although he was deceptively fast. He was just incredibly unflexible. If he'd ever actually stretched and developed a degree of flexibility, he might have been blazingly fast. But no, I would consider him a wing, and he would be in that midfield, similar to where Sean and Jordan are currently playing. So the argument would be having him on the reserve team over Nicodemo Carmada or Andrew Chenard. And if you look at the accolades, both of them were 2-time all-conference selections. Not academic all-conference, quite frankly, neither of them ever even came close to being academic all-conference.
A fraction below the necessary.
They were more than a fraction. I don't know. I guess technically 12 over 4 would be a fraction, although it's 3, but that's about as close as they ever got to academic all-conference. But Andrew, who only played 2 years for us before transferring out to Bridgewater State, in his freshman sophomore year, both years was 3rd team all-conference. And Nicodemo, in his 2 years, in his 4 years, I should say, his junior year, he was 2nd team all-conference, and his senior year, he was 3rd team all-conference. So, they both had soccer awards at the conference level that just gave them the accolades over Woody. So no, Woody didn't make the best 22 players. 3 members of his class did, all 3 in the starting 11, though, with Elster, O'Donnell, and Pion. But no, Woods, who was definitely a pillar and a hallmark of the self-titled Diamond class, a class of 9 that graduated from the program in the spring of 2019. Woody was, a brilliant, very capable player, but unfortunately, I had to leave many brilliant, very capable players off this best 11.
I'm also kind of impressed. Maybe a little bit of recency bias. Seth Wallens gets the backup nod at keeper.
That's probably the position that, frankly, in terms of postseason accolades, Salve might be the softest at. It's only in the past 2 seasons that we've played, the 2018 season with Pion and the 2019 season with Wallens, that we've garnered all conference votes and all conference awards for our goalkeepers. In the first, 11, 12 years that I was the head coach of the program, our keepers were usually overlooked as their stat lines were never really that impressive. And I always partially attributed that to the team defense they had in front of them. Krzetska, Stern, J. Rue, Kurt Githwain. It was very difficult for any of them to really get the nod for the all-conference vote and garner that award. And as such, when I was putting this together, I was a little bit stretched as to who the goalkeepers were going to be. Pion in his senior year put together one of the best seasons a goalkeeper's ever had. And Sergio, I think, is widely regarded, having been the male athlete of the year during his time. He graduated. I was still an assistant at Roger Williams because he beat us in the championship at Roger Williams during, I think, my 2nd year on staff.
He's got all the records except for wins, which Pion beat him by 1.
Solo shutouts in a season. Pion has that. Pion had 10 solo shutouts his senior year. So Pion got that award. And then Pion, you're right, he's got 33 wins as a career, with almost half of them coming his senior year. Serge, great keeper, but he played under a different head coach who probably gave the foregone conclusion games, the games that you're going to win 7-8-0, time to the backup goalkeeper. And as such, Serge didn't get that win. Pion, his senior year, was backed up by Reed and Boncaldo, though Boncaldo was injured for a large portion of it. As such, Reed only, I think, played or started one game that entire year. It was the draw with Johnson and Wales. So Pion racked on the W's that year, and eventually what led to him then getting that school record for wins in a career. But in that year, Pion was also named All New England. So when I was putting the starting 11 together, I think almost every member of the first 11 was All New England, with the exception of Joseph Pate. Every other player on there, at the very minimum, was an All New England player. So Pion was the selection for the starting goalkeeper role. And then Seth is the only other goalkeeper I've had, even though he only played his freshman year for us before transferring home to North Carolina, who got all conference, albeit first team all conference. So Seth was the selection that I put for the backup goalie role, simply because he's the only other all conference keeper I've had.
Yeah. Now that this list has been made public, how much how many messages do you expect to get? Are you getting them currently?
My phone was buzzing, so nope. It is freshmen who are wishing me a happy Thanksgiving. I don't know. I don't know if anyone will really have too much issue with this. The toughest position was probably those holding mid roles. Matthew O'Donnell was first team All New England his senior year and was 3-time All Conference his sophomore, junior, and senior year. And then Robert Ernst, as I've always said, was the blanket of safety in terms of aerial dominance that my program slept under for 4 years. So, I mean, Robert was first team All New England, first team All ECAC. I always thought Bobby might have been the first All American in program history. So those two were right away, penciled in for me as the holding mids in what I arranged as essentially a 3-5-2, which then, of course, relegated Jacob Brigandy, also an All New England holding central midfielder, to the reserves bench. And I think he's the only All New England player on the reserves bench. So I expect that if Gando ever gets wind of this, he will have a thing or two to say about me, because he made that 2012 team into the conference champions and NCAA tournament bound team that they were. He was quite literally that linchpin in our midfield that allowed us to execute everything going forward, and more or less was our defensive shape on the counters.
Casey Kelly's the only player on here who hasn't graduated from your program already. Is there anybody else on your team currently? It could be somebody who's a sophomore or junior that if things go right for them, they could find themselves on this list. There's a potential there.
Yeah, there's several, honestly. Dealing first with the returnees, top to bottom, Alessandro Oggiano, having already been named first team all conference. As a sophomore, I mean, he still has 2 years of eligibility remaining. If he ever really fulfills his potential, I expect at some point he will be on in All New England and potentially an All-American ballot. And I think he's already established his reputation this past year, or I should say, 2 years ago in 2019.
I know.
As our leading goal scorer. He was man of the match in the championship against Endicott. I think Ryan Costa had the call thinking that the game-winning goal was Oggiano's hat trick in overtime, when in essence it was an Endicott own goal, but he still had a brace. He still netted 2. And
his presence there kind of forced that own goal. So
Alessandro's, his nickname on program is the Italian Stallion, and with a name like Alessandro Oggiano, I mean, his ethnicity, I don't think, is within question. If he fulfills his potential, he will be gunning potentially for the starting 11. I think most of us in program know that the most talented returnee is Jacob Guerra. I thought one of the biggest injustices in the 2019 season was when all conference was announced. They had Jacob Guerra's name on the second team all conference. And I think everybody in my program kind of looked at each other going, who the frick's better than him in this conference? I would love to see what my opponents thought in terms of who was going to stop Guerra 1v1, because most of them had to scheme double and triple teams on that side in order for us to try to play away from Guerra, because if we got it to him,
they knew you were going to walk away with the number one hardware, so they didn't want to give you everything, Craig.
Whether they give it to me or not, we're going to take it.
Yeah, take it.
So I think Guerra, honestly, I think, we talked about him last week in terms of his brilliance, the little magician that he can be on the field. He's got all the technical ability, all the tactical awareness, soccer IQ, work rate. I think Guerra is someone who could easily gun for this list. Then two sophomores, I got to start thinking of them as juniors because they're juniors now, both of whom I think are very, very talented. James Davies, I think is going to really, I think already could have an argument to be on the reserve bench in this best 11. And if he continues on with what he's doing, I think he could easily start gunning for the starting 11 and maybe displace one of these guys down to the reserve bench. And then his classmate, Richard Ventura, the ace, as a freshman, started the conference championship semifinal. And then as a sophomore, was only one of 5 guys who went 22 games, 22 starts for us in a conference championship season. So I think Ventura has the potential to eventually break this 11, as does Davies. And that's just the returnees. Most of my guys, the seniors, juniors, sophomores, would tell you that the most talented class currently on roster is our freshman class. And in the freshman class, there are some exceptionally talented players who, if they continue, as we say, the trend line, don't be the player you are freshman year when you're a sophomore. Don't be that player when you're a junior. Don't be that player when you're a senior. You have to keep, having the trend line going upward and continue developing and improving yourself. So in my freshman class, wow. I cannot wait to get these kids on the field facing live opposition, because I think Borges, Hayes, Arpin, they're just incredibly talented. They have it. The soccer IQ is there. The technical ability is there. The tactical awareness, execution of pass, being able to recognize the space, playing out of pressure, the defensive awareness. It's just, it's a good time.
So anybody who saw their name on that top 11 today, don't get too comfortable.
No,
There's people
honestly, it's fluid. As I always say, the starting 11 is fluid. My best 11 is fluid. And, then there's other guys I haven't even named on my roster that are just, Constantino. He's a freak athlete. He could easily displace somebody if he continues his development and continues his trend line. It's sky's the limit. And then the recruiting class we're trying to put together right now, oh my God, they might blow this freshman class out of the water. So I'm just hoping we got games to play at some point.
Yeah. Last question for you, Craig. We've talked a lot about food. We'll be brief. Not here, but in episodes past. Episodes past. Cast your mind back. I know it's hard. A week feels like a year.
Hey,
what will you be doing tomorrow for Thanksgiving? Any food particulars you'll be enjoying? Round number 7 of the pineapple upside down cake, perhaps?
No, honestly, I might be having chili tomorrow at this rate. No, there's really there's nothing. Mac and cheese, I think, is on the menu. I have to go out later and pick up pecorino, as that is the cheese required for the mac and cheese. What did I buy? Asiago. I bought Asiago. So I was thinking of you. These are Italian cheeses, are they not?
Yeah, I like these. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of Romano too. If you want something that's a little saltier, great on top of there is good.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Sharp cheddar. I got to get 18 ounces of sharp cheddar and 8 ounces of pecorino. I bought the 8 ounces of Asiago as a backup in case I can't find the pecorino. So right now it's mac and cheese. Now, I am very much a traditionalist. I would like to be having turkey and cranberry and stuffing, and I'm a huge, like, if you really want to get me into this, stuffing and dressing are not the same thing. Okay, stuffing by definition must be inside of a fowl, whether it be goose, game hen, chicken, turkey. That is stuffing when it is literally stuffed in. Okay, dressing is what you whip up on the stovetop, hence the name stovetop. Okay, so dressing and stuffing are two different things. I like to have stuffing on Thanksgiving with mashed potatoes, cranberry, turkey, sweet potatoes, broccoli with butter, carrots. I like my carrots actually mashed with turnip. I'm very much a root vegetable kind of guy. But no, as of right now, mac and cheese as well. We'll be doing. And in case you don't know this, not a huge mac and cheese kind of guy. Didn't eat it growing up. I've learned to appreciate it, but
it's got versatility. I figured you'd like that. You can throw different things in there. You could do pulled pork and mac and cheese. There's lots of opportunities. Some Ritz cracker crumbs on top. Bake it for a little bit.
Yeah, that probably will happen, but no, it's not.
You've just never had my mac and cheese. That's what I gotta do. I gotta make you my mac and cheese, and maybe I'll continue to pull you to the mac and cheese side.
Maybe. I do like food. I mean, there is a rumor that I enjoy eating. That rumor is true.
We can confirm. Stop the presses. All right, Craig, thank you for taking the time here today. Always fun, always insightful. Hope you have a happy and safe Thanksgiving, and we'll catch up with you again.
Same to you. My best to you and the family, and stay out of trouble, stay inside, listen to the governor. We're shutting it down for 2 weeks, so happy Thanksgiving.
All right, take it easy now. That's Craig O'Rourke, the head coach of our men's soccer team. We're going to bring in the producers now quickly, Mike DeFusco and Joey Morelli, to wrap up today's show and send us into the Thanksgiving break. Running a little over, folks, but that's okay because we won't have Seahawk Talk for the next 2 days, so we might as well go a little over here today to send us into the holiday weekend. Joey, you've once again, you were choosing just not.
I didn't notice it went away, so I didn't have time to fix it. I'll probably come back.
You'll come back eventually. So we'll start with Mike. Mike, what are your thoughts on anything our guests had to say here today? And Mike's muted. Man, come on, guys. Come on, you had all the time.
You're right. Oh,
muted, camera's not working.
I was listening to his great discussion about food, but really the thing I wanted to highlight quick personal connection to one of his stories. I'm glad he would never run me for 30 minutes after a tough loss. That's happened to me. Not here at Salve, but in the summer. Okay. I'm not kidding. It was core condition. Like we were doing sit-ups and all those things, and you couldn't put your feet to the ground, and we couldn't make an excuse because our coach could do it better than us because he was trained to be a firefighter. So we had no excuse. It was just like, you're doing this, I'll do it with you to prove how much like more in shape I am than you guys. And it was just like, yeah, it was crazy. So quick personal connection there. That's what I wanted to pick out.
How old were you when this happened?
I was old enough. I was 18. It was the summer coming into Salve. It was maybe it was not Little League.
It sounded like it was gonna be a
guy with a bunch of 10-year-olds. Come on.
Yeah, it's like the Badgers.
I don't know why
it
really screamed Little League to me.
No, all right. Little League coaches were actually so kind. No crazy experiences like that, but that was one crazy experience that I had to send you guys into Thanksgiving with that story.
Yeah. Joey, any closing thoughts here on today's program?
Oh God. It was something at the beginning. I was making jokes in the private chat with Coach McGinnis about that Olympic run. I'm like, so she's gonna wear the turkey costume during the Olympics, but no, it was about the what was it? Big Greg's turkey, whatever.
Big Gary's.
Big Gary. Yeah. So I've never heard of that. I've never heard of Franklin, Connecticut either. But, like, it sounds like it's such a Connecticut thing to do. It's, like, something weird like that. And, like, for how, like, weird Connecticut is, like, I feel like...
We're going to hand out a 12-gallon pot as a trophy.
Yeah. And I think Rhode Island's like this, too. Like, we're very, like, giving as a people. I feel like it seems like... I'm sure maybe everywhere's like this, and it's just because I've lived in Connecticut and Rhode Island. There's always, like you said, giving away, what was it, 7,000 pounds of food? Like stuff like that. Like, I see a lot in Connecticut. Never like 7,000, but in Connecticut, stuff like that. So maybe everyone's like that. I don't know, but it was funny, and I want to check it out. I actually forgot to look. I want to know where Franklin is, like in relation to me.
As we close up here, we've talked a lot about everybody's plans for Thanksgiving and the holidays. What will your plans be? Mike, we'll start with you.
So I was planning to come home to my mom's, but unfortunately, she was sick. So I'm actually at my dad's now, and we're just going to do a small thing. Everyone here is fine. So it's just going to be me, my dad, aunt, and then Nana. We call her Nana or Grandma. And we're just gonna have our normal Thanksgiving dinner. She's a great cook, so I'm really excited for that. And probably a lot of leftovers because she will probably
Nana's
not
usually
proportion.
cook 10 times the amount
Yeah,
necessary.
so she'll cook for a normal Thanksgiving, but it'll just be us. So we'll have a good time with that.
Awesome, Joey. How will you be enjoying
the
holiday?
It's just gonna me and my mom, dad, and my little sister. We're just cook. I actually have no idea what my mom's making, but she made something. We're gonna eat it tomorrow. Very low key. Yeah, I don't. We're not doing anything special because, again, we want to be safe and stuff.
Yep. Awesome. Well, fellas, great work today. Hope you both have a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Enjoy the. It's like a 4-day weekend here, and we'll talk to you on Monday.
All right, we'll see you guys Monday. Have a great, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, that's Joey Morelli and Mike DeFusco, the producers here on Seahawk Talk. Like I said, we will not be live tomorrow or on Friday, so we will be back again on Monday. Want to thank our guests here today. We had Rob McGinnis, Lauren Foster, Olivia Hussey, Ashley LaFave, Jane Walsh, and we closed out the day with Craig Orick II, the head coach of our men's soccer team. Like I said, we're usually live every single day, 3 to 4 p.m. on the Salve Athletics Network, on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope through Twitter. You can follow, and subscribe to all those platforms. Go back and rewatch any episode of the show. You could also subscribe to the Seahawk Talk podcast through Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcasts. So, like I said, no show tomorrow or Friday. We'll see you Monday. Hope everybody has a happy and safe Thanksgiving weekend, and we'll talk to you on Monday. I'm Andrew Pizzelli. Take it easy now, folks.